listening to Food Rebels and welcome. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs and live on-air tastings. A show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. We'll be giving you a peek behind the curtains and inside the minds of the people who are shaking up our food industry. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge and of course business owner. I love meeting new people and tasting new foods. So, sit back as we hear more stories from people in food who dare to be different. Well, hello, happy Christmas. I hope you are as relaxed as we all are on Christmas Day. We have decided this year that we would pull together some of the funniest parts from Food Rebels from across the last 12 months of brilliant and inspiring and hilarious and rebellious guests that we've had on the show. One of my most standout moments was when producer Georgie, admitted she was considering eating the snails from her own garden. An utterly horrifying thought.
I, this summer in my veggie patch, have been battling the slugs.
Oh, yes.
The snails.
Me too.
And and I've actually found the solution, which is amazing. These, like,
chickens.
plastic triangles.
No,
the chickens won't eat them.
Oh my
God. You need to get ducks.
Chickens love slugs.
Chickens, no, they're too big.
Oh,
they're
God, you're
massive.
joking.
These slugs are absolutely huge, and the chickens won't go near them. I put them in their pen, and they're like...
They hide. That's hilarious.
But I found the new solution is that beer really attracts them. So I've been popping into convenience stores all over the place at, random times of the day to buy my 6-pack to fill up my
excellent
triangle.
They're all talking about you in the village. About Georgie. She likes a drink.
Exactly. It's 10 o'clock in the morning with the kids in tow to go and get my 6-pack.
Is it called a slug pub? Something like that, isn't it?
A slug pub?
Yeah.
That's a cool name.
My mother-in-law has described it before. I've never actually made one. Where you get a Coke bottle, I think, and you cut it in half and turn one bit upside down, pop it in the top,
okay.
and you put a little bit of beer in the bottom and you kind of plant it in the garden and say they all crawl in, and then I think they die rather a grisly death. So I never actually did it because it sounded mean, even though I really don't like slugs.
Okay, I haven't looked into how they die, but it is very effective, and it astounds me at the number of slugs that are in there. But anyway, thinking about slugs and snails, because we also have a lot of snails, was when I was in France, my favourite thing to eat.
Escargot.
I was like, why am I not eating my own snails?
You didn't.
That are, in the garden.
You can't eat common or garden snails.
Yes, you can.
No.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes.
You didn't.
You can.
I'm never going to look at you in quite the same way again. Oh, not yet. Okay, fine. Phew.
I did think.
You're still on the Christmas card list.
Come on. Sure. I mean, I'm all about foraging. I'm all about harvesting from the land.
Oh, sure.
Why not?
Black breeze, little slow for some gin. Sure. Snails. It's too far. It's too far.
Is it? Because actually, I was like, I feel like this is a good, circular thing. There's quite a lot of effort. You do have to purge them.
Oh, my goodness. What does that mean?
Well, because obviously you don't know what they've been eating. So then you feed them herbs and stuff for a couple of days.
So you put it on like a heavy metal detox.
Exactly. Clear out those caffeine
Some
headaches.
spirulina for my snails.
And then after you've done that, then you starve them. So then there's nothing in their gut. But yeah, and then you cook them.
Wow, this is a lot of effort for something that just tastes like garlic and butter.
I did wonder, when I was eating them in France, I did wonder how much was I enjoying the snail and how much was just I really enjoying the garlic butter.
I think it's all the latter, personally.
Did I enjoy the actual snail or was it the garlic butter?
I think so. And I think there's also something very satisfying, especially if you're with people who wouldn't like to eat snails, to order snails and go, oh yeah, I'm very cultural, I love to eat snails. Look at me dipping my bread in the sauce. And actually you're sitting there going, I'd have rather had a prawn cocktail, to be honest with you. Another of my favourite shows was with my gorgeous, gorgeous friends, Susie Pelter and Eve Tudor, who joined me for a hilarious recording of Getting Into a Pickle. I think this is the moment where we all admit that we don't just eat fancy food all the time.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for a fish finger.
There is, isn't there?
Another smiley face. Yeah. Do you know what? Again, that's another thing I have to say about us as a three. We judge food. We judge some of the best food that is available. But we're also very down-to-earth people who will happily eat a fish finger and a smiley face as well. Yeah. Because, you know what? There's a time and a place for those too.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I've realised who my friends are, like my true friends are, when I can talk to them about going for a McDonald's. Like, what's your McDonald's order? It is a double quarter pounder with cheese and extra pickle. Oh, I don't even need extra pickle.
I didn't even know you can get extra pickle.
I didn't either.
What's your McDonald's order?
It's a double cheeseburger and chips. Okay. You have to order them separately. They don't come as a meal, but they're amazing, honestly.
See, I'm partial to a fillet of fish.
Nice. Are you?
I never, until I realised there was cheese in there, I didn't think about it. But it just works, so I don't question it. No. But there is cheese in there.
There is.
Yeah. I've got to be honest, the plant burgers, they're doing well. Yeah?
You've got to get a double plant burger.
Okay.
And have a single one. It's almost not enough of whatever protein it is. But if you get the double, which I know sounds, it's enormous, but it's the only way to get enough food, if that makes sense. Now, I sound like such a pig.
No.
Have a double of everything. I like both. I like doing that at work and being really you're sitting there eating this absolutely exquisite food in some beautiful restaurant and you're going, look, if I'm going to be critical, I really would have toasted the scallop a little bit more on this side. And you are pulling apart the most perfect, beautiful dish. And then it's the weekend and you're over at your friend's house and they're like, sorry, I've just done a big tray bake of pasta. It's all I could get my head around after work. And you're like, yes, but this is equally more beautiful and delicious because I'm sitting here surrounded by people I love, talking and chatting nonsense. And I couldn't give a stuff what the wine is I'm drinking, to be quite honest with you, because I'm just enjoying the fact that I'm with people I love. And therefore, the food tastes better, the wine tastes better, everything tastes better. Two more of my real favourites from the industry. Dhruv Baker, MasterChef champ and owner of Tempest Charcuterie. Absolutely brilliant. You should definitely have it out ready for your New Year's celebrations and your Christmas celebrations. And Guy Tulberg from Tracklements, who is absolutely brilliant.
So everyone at work will start yawning, but I spent 7 or 8 years on the road selling Tracklements across the whole of southern England. And one of the things that I loved is meeting. You suddenly saw all these market towns, places with really good butchers. Cheese shops were starting to appear. Farm shops were starting to appear. I loved walking through the door. Absolutely loved walking through the doors. Didn't always work. You didn't always make a sale. But I still find that same excitement now because, yes, we talked about good food not being exclusive. We've also got to think about the fact that we've got to help our retailers make money. So I don't want to be, I'm not being mercenary about it, but to say, look, anything we can do to help you sell more Tracklements is another 50p in your till, because we've got to keep them going too.
Yeah.
We've really got to sort of make sure that we help them. And that's why, we proudly say, I think we're on our 13th year of winning the best supplier on the Guild Awards.
Wow.
And as they said this year, no one has ever won it except us.
Yeah.
But that's not just about making good product. It's about supplying stuff when people want it, helping the retailers sell more.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important because it's about putting money through the till. And I like that. We touched on it earlier. I like the business side of what we do, because that's something that you don't see necessarily when you start out. I was far too ignorant to realise that there was a business. You had to work out how you do the business, because you do get very excited about it. But actually, that's something that I've enjoyed layering on to my level of knowledge. We don't get things right, But what we do is have a structure and a process to allow us to do it. And I think that's the other bit, that as brands grow, they have the knowledge of what it is that they're doing, making really good products, but just add that little layer of the business bit. That's not going out and doing an MBA. They need to do that. But do learn and maybe apply yourself. It's the bit that we don't like. I don't like numbers, don't like spreadsheets, but you sort of have to force yourself to do it because it is important, because we can't get good food to our customers unless we do it right.
Yeah.
And add the business section on. So I don't want to be too boring about that, because it is about taste and making good product, but I love that bit as well. And it's about discovery. So where else do you find this range of products? This amazing range of products and things that you haven't seen before, and tastes and flavours that you can try. I think it's an endlessly exciting process. But the one thing that I still have, food-wise, sometimes I feel led by the product. So I might be getting an urge to eat piccalilli. And it suddenly comes to me, I said, I've got to eat piccalilli. So I will go out and get thick cut, proper ham, real slab, and some good bread. And I sometimes think we forget how just lovely.
What a joy it is.
How joyous. I don't want to but I think the simplicity of taking, I won't say a condiment-led menu. Can you imagine if Guy opened his condiment restaurant? I think it might be a bit boring.
I don't think it would be boring at all.
Sounds marvellous.
And I know exactly what you mean. I will suddenly develop a hankering for something ridiculously specific on a Monday or a Tuesday. And you can see the abject, it's boredom on my family's faces, because they know Saturday will be spent traipsing around looking for some obscure, ridiculous thing that I've decided I want.
Yes, and you've got to have it.
Until you do, it doesn't go away. Yeah. But I totally get it. It can be triggered by, now that you've mentioned that, I want a Scotch egg with piccalilli, and I will by the end of the weekend. But it can't just be any Scotch egg, not the one that you'll get in the big supermarkets where you can hear it rattling around inside, but a proper Scotch egg with piccalilli.
With a gooey centre.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm now probably going to be slightly distracted until I have that.
I think that we've got this lovely thing that I call British tapas.
Yeah.
Which are those things. We have a Trachelmans lunch. The Trachelmans lunch never really changes. Cheese, ham, pork pie, Scotch egg. If I can find, because it always makes me giggle, but our butcher would do really good faggots, and if there's something that's delicious with faggot, onion marmalade and faggot's just a really nice pate.
Yeah, but that sweetness is just offsets it, slight tang.
And those things I really, really like. And I also love the idea of getting our visitors and customers, when they come down, just putting this spread in front of them and everybody's eyes light up, because we so rarely eat in that way, but it is our history and tradition.
Yeah.
Is there a nostalgia rolled up into that, do you think? Is it that the memories of whether it was a real memory of picnics and things, or is it from having watched things like The Famous Five or read them, where, lovely jars appeared? But there is, no one can help but grin from ear to ear when you see something like that, because it's honest and it's delicious.
But you see these things in the deli counter, and we were chatting about Fortnum's, downstairs at Fortnum's. How can you not indulge? And I think they do. You can get a little cold bag, can't you? Yeah. And you can put a Scotch egg in it and a little jar of piccalilli and consume at your leisure.
You cross the road and sit in Green Park with a half bottle of champagne you bought. I've done it. I mean, I'm laughing because I've done it, I'm ashamed to say, more than once.
And I think it's just, I think it's so pleasurable, and that's a little something you can stick in your pocket, easy to carry.
I love this. I might have to move you two into the pub so you can carry on this conversation.
Have you tried the new Monster Munch pickled onion flavour mayonnaise?
No, I can't get hold of it. What? Shut the front door.
Yes. I'm desperately trying to buy it. Can't get hold of it. It is genuinely very, very, very good. That and pickle ketchup are my two things right now.
Pickle ketchup. I've got about 3 bottles in the house for the fear of it running out. But we put it on everything.
Isn't it so good?
It's incredible. It's McDonald's ketchup, though.
It is. Yeah.
It's McDonald's ketchup.
I once sat next to the late, very lovely Charles Campion at a dinner. So I'm properly elbows off the table, name dropping here. And I remember admitting to him with my boss watching me across the table, and I was only probably 1 year into the job, like a proper junior, like, shut up, AJ, don't speak. I'm like, sure, you're lucky to be here. Like, sure. And then I remember having a love-in with him about salad cream. And he said, what is your favourite condiment? And I said, oh, do you know, I just love salad cream. And he looked at me and went, do you know, I do too. We had this big love-in about it. It was amazing. I don't know whether he was just being very polite, but it was a good moment.
I do like salad cream. I don't know about putting it on beans, but I do like a bit of cheese on my beans.
Cheese is okay, but salad cream, no. I said, I'm very open to foods, but then I've already said that I'm a snob about instant coffee. I'm a snob about salad cream. Salad cream and cottage cheese, I think, are two things potentially should be banned.
Yeah. Cottage cheese is a funny one.
It is a funny one. I mean, sometimes it's okay, but I will try anything, but it wouldn't be my first choice.
One of my favourite shows from last year was after the World Cheese Awards, which had been held out in Norway. And we had Emma Young and Patrick McGuigan, two cheese experts and judges for the World Cheese Awards. They came to join us in the studio. We tasted some of the best cheeses and we just generally had a massive giggle. It was really good fun.
It's a huge world, cheese. It's so diverse and complicated at times, but also really delicious.
And people get passionate about it, don't they? They get so excited. You hear people go, oh, cheese. Oh, I couldn't give up cheese.
It's one of those foods that people don't like it. They love it. It becomes like an obsession. There's a few foods that are like that. I think chocolate might be one. Wine is the other one. I would say those three, people just go really deep into it and get really passionate about it, which is great.
Let's talk about the World Cheese Awards, because this just boggles my brain. So cheese makers from around the world enter this award scheme. Christabel, you're at the front line putting this whole thing together. How on earth do you go about this? What are the logistics behind it?
It's a bit nuts as a concept. So we try and get 4,500 cheeses. They come from over 40 countries into one room for one day. And then we get about 250 cheese experts from around the world to come and judge them, which is as complicated as it sounds. So we have 20 consolidation points around the world. You've got everybody from your sort of one-person company making cheese with a herd of 20 goats sending their cheese in, and we've got to make sure it arrives in a good condition, that the judges can taste it. And there's all sorts of licensing things to work out. We have this special sort of dispensation so that we can get raw milk cheeses in from certain countries that wouldn't necessarily normally be allowed in the kind of normal retail train. And it means that we have this huge diverse range of things to taste, which Emma mentioned earlier.
Absolutely incredible. So you guys are tasting things that have just come from anywhere around the world. What was the most unusual cheese that you tasted this year, Emma?
Gosh, what was one of the weirdest things I had? I had a tiny blue cheese which had some sort of leaf wrap on it. I can't really describe what it was. I don't know what it was. I didn't look it up yet, but incredibly weird savoury notes, tiny little thing which must have travelled from I have no idea where. The flavour profile, what really surprised me this year is I had 2 or 3 cheeses which had flavours which I had never tasted before. As experts, we like to taste a lot of cheeses. It's our job. But when you're surprised by flavour, that's quite a nice thing.
Super exciting.
How do you pin this down? What is this? Is it bacon? Is it crisps? Is it flowers in the mouth? Like, it's really strange having to sort of find something in your vocab that's not already there.
Petivo was created because quite demanding clients were like, I want something that is all natural, no preservatives, no flavouring, something for our non-drinking guests effectively. And Sam realised that nothing that followed that brief existed sort of in the market. So he actually created the drinks to serve created Petivo, the liquid, as a drink to serve at these events. And then basically people kept coming up and saying, where do I buy this delicious thing at the end of events?
It's a beautiful label. It's a kind of, just yellow, black and white. And it's a picture. It looks very French in many ways, a sort of street scene, people playing at a piano, somebody's lying on the top of the piano drinking, another lady's sort of throwing some flowers. It's an entertaining scene, isn't it, on the front label?
Yeah, it's drawn by this amazing artist called Rosalina Bakova, who is, she's based out in Barcelona, but she's Bulgarian. And so I think she brings a lot of that vibe to it. And I've always loved her work. She's a friend of mine because she creates these banquet scenes where whenever you see them, you just think, God, I want to be at that party. You know, it's always wonders, the characters are just so inviting. And that's actually only the middle part of the scene that she's created for Bativo. So if you go onto our website or our Instagram, for example, there's actually 21 characters that are Bativo characters, and we use them across different assets, like on Instagram or on our website, etc. And we're going to be using them more and more. But the kind of whole thinking behind it was that when we were creating the brand, we felt like the world of the non-alcoholic world still felt very kind of white and very hetero, which obviously is not reflective of our team or even of London or the world today. And so we worked to have really interesting characters. If you look at the brand world on the 21 ones, we have people that are older, younger, different sizes, different genders, different sexualities, different ethnicities. And the idea was that, there was someone, people who aren't able-bodied, for example, just a whole range of people that are supposed to reflect the modern tapestry of life.
Nice.
And I say that was sort of a really conscious thing, which was really important to us and has come through these kind of joyous characters, which are all kind of partying together.
Oh, I love it. I love the idea that you can look at it and there's somebody there.
Yeah, and the characters they're named after a few of our pals. So there's like Jack, the guy, Kate and her girlfriend are like this sort of couple, one with a pirate patch on, which is amazing in the kind of broader world. So yeah, it's quite fun.
Is there a language barrier there? If you've got 250 judges from around the world, how does that work?
Great question. This year we were English speaking. Other years we've had a mixture, and there has been a language barrier. The main thing is to sort of find a way of calibrating with each other at the beginning of the judging session. What's really good about the World Cheese Awards is you do have judges from all around the world with their different expertise and their different sort of context from their country. So you do want to find that way of communicating with each other to see how they would judge certain things, and they might be specialists more in one style than another, and you might be in another. It's a scoring system, basically. So numbers are nicely universal, and it's a case of figuring out where your tasting stands next to your team. You'll have certain criteria to judge out of 5, certain criteria out of 10, 20 even, sorry. And for the first couple of cheeses, I always find the best thing is to calibrate. So we'll do those a little bit slower. If you can't communicate, you can write things down. I like to have pen and paper and write down numbers or thumbs up, thumbs down, just so you can find where you're standing. And it's quite surprising how you can communicate with those little bits of equipment. Everyone sort of understands the language of cheese.
The non-verbal communication, like smiling, nodding. Yes,
yummy,
this is good.
Great.
And obviously, you mentioned spreadsheets earlier. We've got, who speaks what language, who is a retailer, who's a producer, because as Emma mentioned, different people come at things with sort of a different angle. So Pat might write about something and kind of from a journalist point of view, Emma might look at it from how can I sell that, and there's sort of different takes on things.
Yeah, that's so interesting, isn't it? Really accounting for everyone. So Patrick, did you start on a similar type of table? Because you went all the way through, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was on the super jury, which is the final at the end. So I was judging from 10 o'clock, did we start? 9 o'clock? Until 5 o'clock, and I was eating cheese. I think I worked out I tasted nearly 90 cheeses in the day. Let me paint a picture. So I'm not sure we've got across the enormity of a room full of cheese with 4,500 cheeses. So you come down in the morning, there's 250-ish judges from all over the world. And then we walk down into the arena, the field of cheese.
It is like a football pitch full of cheese. That's the best way of...
Never mind the field of dreams.
Yeah.
The field of cheese.
I wish everyone could see Patrick's face when he described, the clouds parting when he found the great cheese earlier.
But it's amazing. So you walk down, so imagine a football field, probably like 2 football pitches laden with cheese on white tablecloth tables. This year in Trondheim there were 100 tables, and each table had around 45 cheeses. So we're talking 4,500 in total. And then you work your way through those in the morning. You're giving out golds, silvers, bronze. I have to be honest, most cheeses don't get an award.
Really?
Yeah. It's hard to get an award. It has to be really good to even just get a bronze. To get a silver or a gold, it has to be really exceptional. I think on our table of 45, we gave 2 golds in the whole morning.
Really?
We gave quite a lot of silver and bronzes, but there was for something to get a gold, it really has to be like an epiphany, a cheese epiphany, where it really is outstanding and sort of blows your mind a bit.
Because it's just taste, isn't it? Like, this is the fundamental.
Well, it is mainly about the flavour. So Emma was talking about the scoring system, and the scoring system is weighted if it tastes incredible, you know, there are more points available for flavour than, say, its appearance or its aroma, which I think is right. It is about how it tastes. Eventually, you've done your judging, and then you have to make a final decision on what is the best cheese on the table, and that's a Super Gold.
Just one.
Just one, and that can be quite difficult. In previous years, you know, you might have 3 or 4 golds, and then you have to retaste them as a group and decide which is.
And do you get into a bit of an argument sometimes?
It's interesting that you would think it could end up in fisticuffs, and I've never had
cheese
that
flinging.
I've been judging at the World Cheese Awards, I think, for the best part of 15 years. It's amazing how much agreement there is, and the good cheeses really do leap out at everyone. You come to your Super Gold, they all go through to the next round, so then you've got 100 cheeses, which, you know, the super jury has to then rejudge those, pick a cheese that they want to take through to the final.
So how many judges are on the super jury? You can't have all 250 then? 16
are on the super jury. And so the 16 judges rejudge the 100 Super Golds, and they each pick a cheese that they're going to champion, and then that gets taken through to the final. So there's 16 cheeses in the final, which are judged live.
And that's the photo we see of you guys all sitting in a row, like on Strictly, holding up signs, isn't it?
So you score live. Out of 7 is the top score. We all taste together in front of a crowd of 300 or 400 people. It's quite surreal.
And probably thousands watching on live World Cheese Awards TV from home.
But the idea, if you told me when I was 15 I'd grow up to be eating cheese in front of 400 people
on live TV
and then having to raise a score like Strictly Come cheese judging, my mind would have boggled.
I actually didn't get to be here for the Rebellious Vines. This was my brilliant colleague, Sam Beanie, and Georgie Parsons took over the presenter's job. And I know they had a really, really good time recording with the guys that came on this show.
I am the official winemaker for Shrewsbury Town Football Club.
I love that.
There's not many people making wine in Shropshire. There's not many people that have taken the journey that me and my wife have done. So we got covered in the local press quite a bit when we first launched our wine 8 years ago. And we were on the local radio station, and the chairman of the football club heard me talking about it and thought, I'd like to meet this chap. He didn't know at the time that I'd been a season ticket holder of the club since I was 4.
Oh my goodness.
Avid Shrewsbury Town fan. He called me in to talk about it, and we ended up concocting a Shrewsbury Town wine. And I mean, some people would say that it was payment. Other people would say it's pain. But I get to sit in the posh seats in return for making that wine, and I get to go and watch them. Actually, was in the Royal Box at Wembley when we got to the playoffs a few years ago. Wow. So it's worked out brilliantly for me. I was never a good footballer. I'm a decent winemaker, and that is the best path I could take. It's made me no money.
Well, it's two passions colliding, isn't it? And that's what.
I don't think there's many League One clubs who've got their own winemaker.
Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK and further afield. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars or follow us. It makes such a difference, not just to our podcast and radio show, but it really helps to support the guests that come on the show with us. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. So give us a follow, do get in touch. We love hearing from you, and let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure you taste the rebellion.